referring to that?
Hey guys, so today we're going to make a dish from the World of Warcraft official cookbook in honor of BREWFEST that's going on right now. So we found the recipe for essential BREWFEST pretzels, as you can see right here on this beautiful book. We're going to try to replicate this recipe and make our own little BREWFEST pretzels in honor of BREWFEST. In order to make these pretzels, we needed to gather a few ingredients. Starting on this side, we have 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of instant yeast, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, rough salt, 1/4 cup of butter melted, 1 egg with a teaspoon of water, 4 cups of flour, and 1½ cups of warm water. For our water bath that we're going to make, we needed 10 cups of water and 2/3 of a cup of baking soda. For our first step, we need to add in the water, sugar, salt, and yeast. So we take our water that's warm but not too hot, pour it in our bowl. Then we want to add our brown sugar, our 1 teaspoon of salt, and our yeast. So what we want to do is just mix that up. Let the yeast get wet until it starts to foam. Once all of those 4 ingredients are incorporated, you want to allow the yeast to sit for a few minutes so that it can soften, and once it begins to foam, that's when we can move on to the next step. Look how cool! So as you can see, our yeast is starting to foam. It's kind of bubbling and bringing some nice little bubbles up to the top of the bowl, or top of the liquid. So now that it is starting to foam, we're going to add our melted butter and flour. So what you want to do is just add in the melted butter, and then 1 cup at a time, you're going to add the flour in. So just kind of mix this in a little bit, and then take the flour 1 cup at a time, mix it in, and you're going to stir that until you have a soft, workable dough. I'm right-handed, so stirring with my left hand is not easy. Add on our 2nd cup. Okie dokie. Now our 2nd cup of flour's gone in. We're mixing it up. Trying to get a nice soft dough. Oop. Flour's trying to escape. Keep on mixing. Make a big old mess with the flour. Oof. It's getting thicker and thicker. Add in another cup. This is only 4 cups, I promise. I'm just not getting the cup full every single time I'm pouring some in. Whew, a little bit of a workout. Mixing it up, mixing it up. Not prepared?
You are not prepared!
I'm gonna get intimate with the dough now. It's getting a little bit too thick for spoon stirring. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and add the rest of this because it's about a cup left over. And get real familiar with it. I'm getting flour everywhere, but that's okay because I'm gonna clean it up later anyways. We're getting it all soft, workable dough that isn't sticky, but it is still sticky, so I need to keep mixing a little bit longer. Really get all of this flour that's just hanging out at the bottom of the bowl mixed in. I was not born a baker. Okay, so once you have kind of mixed together your flour and your dough and it's kind of more workable and not quite as sticky, you want to flour your work surface and start kneading your dough. I'm going to scoop this out of the way. And I've already partially floured it on accident just from mixing the stuff in the bowl. So I have a bowl of just flour just kind of prepared. And we're just going to lightly dust our surface with flour. Get it all nice and messy. Okay, so now we're gonna take our dough out of our bowl. Whoa, heavy bowl. And we're going to knead it until it is well incorporated, all nice and pretty, and bounces back whenever it's poked. Whew. Okay, so once you poke it and it bounces back, that means it's like ready, I guess you could say. So what we need to do next is get it into a pre-greased bowl, which I didn't show you earlier, but we have this bowl right here. It has been pre-greased and ready to go. So all we need to do is take this little baby dough and put it in there, and we're gonna let it sit there for an hour. We're gonna let it rise. We need it to rise to half of its volume increased. Oh, it's gonna be twice as big whenever it's done. So what we need to do is put it in there and then get a wet cloth and lay the wet cloth over it and let it sit for an hour. So now that we've got our dough tucked away and rising and taking a little nap, we are going to go ahead and start boiling our 10 cups of water to make our baking soda bath. Well, all we need to do is take 10 cups of water, which I pre-measured into this glass bowl, and pour it into our pot and pray we don't spill. Fine. And then turn it on and wait for it to boil. Okay, now that our water is boiling, we are going to add our baking soda into it while it's still boiling. And we are going to turn the heat off. Exciting. Alrighty, now that we've got our baking soda mixed in, we're gonna let that cool down a little bit and let all the baking soda melt. And then once our dough has finished rising, we can move on to the next step. Now that our dough has risen to twice its size, we're going to dump it back out, put it over here, and start separating it into our little tiny dough nuggets. We're gonna take it out. And we need to cut this in half. So I have a knife here that you can use a knife or a actual dough cutter. We want to just cut this in half. Once it's in half, we're going to cut this into 5 pieces. Or both of these into 5 pieces. This way will be good. Get them all about the same size. I'm going to take a little bit off of that one and that one. And the end of that one to make it into its own little dough piece. So we want to do the same thing with this one. 2, 3, 4, 5. That one a little bit better. Now we want to be real gentle with the dough, and we're going to put it into little ropes. So get all my little nuggets out of the way over here so that I can make my first rope. Sure. We're just going to roll it out into a rope. You want your ropes to be about 20 inches long. Is the preferred rope size for this sucker. So once we have all of our ropes rolled out, we need to next form them into the pretzel shape or the U twisty shape. So what we want to do is take one of our ropes, form it into a U shape, then take these 2 ends and you're going to twist them like that, and then you take and you fold it back into the bottom of your U. That way it connects, and it kind of makes like a little heart shape. And you're going to take the 2 little legs here and press them into the dough right there so that they make a connection. From there, you're just going to do that with the remaining ropes, and then you can move on to the next step. So now that we have all of our little pretzels made in the dough form, we are going to start bathing them in the baking soda water bath that we made a little bit earlier. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our cute little pretzels as gently as possible, trying to keep its position, or it's like twisties in there. So we're going to take and just Sit it right at the top of the water. And we're gonna take a spoon and we need to like kind of spoon water onto it for about 30 seconds to a minute until it starts to like fluff up. We're just going to keep bathing it until you notice that the dough is kind of starting to fill up. Now that it's fluffed up a bit, we're gonna take 2 spatulas and gently lift it out of the bath and lay it onto the baking sheet and repair our little pussy that has fallen off. And we will repeat with all the other pretzels. Now that we have bathed all of our little pretzels and we have them spread out on our cookie sheets with parchment paper ready to go in the oven, we've already had the oven preheating to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. So the next step that we need to do is take our egg and 1 teaspoon of water from earlier, and we're going to beat the egg, that way it is all mixed up until we have a nice egg wash. Now we've got a nice egg wash made, and you can either use a brush or a spoon. I don't have a brush, so I'm gonna use a spoon. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a little bit of the egg wash and you're just gonna brush it over each of the pretzels. Once you have coated all of the pretzels with your egg wash, you're going to take the rough salt and just sprinkle it on each one. Get it nice and salty. Now we have our pretzels all salted and ready to go, and we're just going to stick them in the oven and let them bake for about 12 minutes or until they're like nice and dark brown. And then we'll see how they look when they turn out. Now that our pretzels have been baking for about 12 to 15 minutes, we're going to take them out as they've turned a nice golden brown color. Baking sheet number 1 and number 2. Our pretzels are out of the oven and they look pretty cute to me. I know they don't really look like traditional pretzels probably, but I think they look pretty cute. So the next step is to get our cheese dip ready and then we can taste them. So now we're getting ready to make the cheddar beer dip to go with our essential BREWFEST pretzels. And our pretzels just finished and they're cooling off right now. So we're gonna go ahead and whip up this cheese dip to go with them before we taste them. So for our ingredients, we have a few things here. We have in this little bitty bowl a dash of Worcestershire sauce and half a teaspoon of mustard. Here we have half a teaspoon of paprika and half a teaspoon of garlic powder. Here we have 2 tablespoons of butter. Then we have another 2 tablespoons of flour. In this one we have half a cup of milk. Here we have 1 cup of a low hop beer where we used Shiner Oktoberfest as our beer because it's Oktoberfest, BREWFEST season. And then finally we have 3 cups of sharp cheddar cheese already shredded. The first step is to add in the butter and let it melt. So I've already let my skillet heat up a bit. I'm just going to let this start melting. Let butter melt over medium heat. So once our butter's melted, we are going to add in the flour and we're going to let it whisk it in and let it cook for a minute or 2. Once it's turned a nice golden color, we are going to gradually pour in our beer while whisking. Now we need to add our milk. Again, slowly while still whisking. Once they've reached the proper thickness, we will remove them from the heat. Okay, now that our mixture has thickened up a little bit, we are going to turn off the heat and add in the spices. Also, our Worcestershire sauce and cheese and mustard. Alright, once those are all nicely incorporated, we get to add our cheese. Come on, cheese. Okay. Now we have all of our ingredients in, and we're gonna just let the cheese melt. Let it melt. At this point, you can also add salt and pepper to taste. My cute little salt and pepper shakers. I'm just gonna add a little bit right over the top. And once the cheese is melted, you will have your cheese sauce. Let's see if it's ready. Yeah, we can start stirring it in. So now we've got our cheese dip and we are ready to taste one of our pretzels. And we'll dip it in our cheese. Pretty good. You can definitely taste the beer in the cheese for sure. Okay, thanks for watching us make these fun BREWFEST themed goodies. And if you liked it, give us a subscribe, a thumbs up. And we'll see you next time. All right, happy BREWFEST. Yummy.
I was trying to hold it. Just. Is it good?